This podcast is sponsored by Odds Monkey. Beat the bookie and make money whether you win, lose or draw. Swing by oddsmonkey.com today to try the UK's #1 matched betting service for just £1. Enter promo code BIRDCAMP when you register and upgrade to premium.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Gooner Ramble. Tonight we're going to be discussing Arsenal's victory. Yes, a victory against Jose Mourinho's Manchester United. I'm your host James and this evening I'm joined by regular Amanda. Amanda, how are you this evening?
Hi James, yeah I'm good. We won a game! We won a game!
It's unbelievable, isn't it? And a rare appearance for Rick all the way from the US of A. How are you, mate?
I am fantastic. We beat Jose. We broke their unbeaten streak. The sun is shining. It's a great day.
It feels very peculiar to be talking about a victory, and a good victory as well, because even though we got that win over Leicester, we also got that win over Borough. This is the first game in the league where Arsenal actually looked really up for it. And it was good to see that in that second half, especially Arsenal put in a really resolute performance, and we've come out with a win. We've broken this hoodoo against Jose Mourinho. And Amanda, for you, how vital was it that we got the 3 points today?
Oh, well, you see, I'm a little bit torn with this. I was up for it today because it was United and Mourinho. Wasn't really fussed about the top four because I don't think we're going to get in there anyway. And to be honest, I'm not that fussed if we do. And I've said that for weeks. But I was way up for it. I had a good drink with some Gooners beforehand. I predicted 1-1 the whole week, and I never predict, so I'm useless. That's why I don't predict. But I think the most important thing is to start winning, to carry a little bit of momentum through to the cup final. That's my main, focus. Win every game, build up their confidence, stroll into Wembley on the 27th of May with half a chance. First half, bland. It's okay. De Gea made a good save. We weren't as bad as we have been, but United are not great, are they? And yeah, we'll come on to the second half, I'm sure, on the goals, but you can't knock beating United and Mourinho. And honestly, I despise him. I just can't stand the ground he walks on. And we've disregarded the most boring unbeaten run ever today. We stopped that boring unbeaten run because they had 12 draws in their run. I'm not being funny. It's so boring. They are so boring. The whole being is they're going to probably go and win the Europa Cup and they'll be in the Champions League. But how long they'll last, I don't know. But it was great.
Yeah, no, it really was a great win today. 2-0 against, despite what everyone's saying, it being a weakened Manchester United side, 2-0 against United at home, given the way we've been playing. I'll take that every day of the week. And just more importantly, good to see Arsenal play well because we haven't seen that in quite some time. Rick, coming to you, there was a lot of talk going into this game that Manchester United would be playing a weakened side, and you could certainly argue that they did do that today. They left out Marcus Rashford, left out Paul Pogba, left out, dare I say, Jesse Lingard, who I don't think is a particularly vital player to this Manchester United side. But they still had an abundance of talent in that team. They started Martial, they still started Wayne Rooney, whatever your opinion is on him. He's still the United captain. Ander Herrera, Juan Mata, a team full of talent. The only real surprise addition was the guy that they brought in, a right back. I can't quite remember his name, but I thought he did decently for them. But beside that, it was a very senior 11 from Manchester United. What do you make of this talk about it being a weakened side? And do you still think that we've done well to disperse this Manchester United team?
I really don't see it as a weakened side. I mean, other than Pogba missing, I think, Mkhitaryan hasn't been playing a lot lately, but I think he's a fantastic player. So when he comes in, I don't see it as a weakened side at all. Like you said, the only surprise we saw was the right back, whose name I'm not even sure I can pronounce if I saw it again right now, but he actually played pretty well, kept Alexis from being too dangerous. So I didn't see it as a weakened side at all. It was great to beat them, and it turns out they were not as good as I had anticipated they might be. Rooney is not the player he used to be, but he can still shoot the ball. So every time give him the ball deep in the midfield all day long, he's not going to hurt us. But if he's looking over a free kick or he's got a shot to take in the box, you're always worried about him. So I still thought they were dangerous, and I'm glad to see that we held them mostly in check.
Yeah, no, I think we can all agree that it was definitely a strong Manchester United side and a team that, whatever you think about them, they did seem to come to, dare I say, play for the draw. They didn't seem overly creative in this game. They didn't seem too imaginative with their play, and at the times they did just seem happy to keep possession throughout the course of the match. But thankfully, our talent has been able to come through and get the win. And it was a slightly rejigged 11 from Arsene Wenger. Amanda, coming to you, what did you make of the starting 11 that was put on the field by Arsene Wenger? Of course, we've stuck with the back three. We saw Rob Holding come back into the team. Monreal keep his place at left centre-back, and Gibbs has continued from that game at White Hart Lane in that left wing-back role. But we saw Welbeck come in, and that's what was such a difference maker in this game. What did you make of the starting 11?
I was really pleased, James. I tweeted a few hours before that if Giroud's starting, I need to drink more because I just can't have him on the pitch, I'm afraid. I know there are a lot of people that rate him. I don't. And I was so pleased he did what he did with Welbeck. I'm pleased Gibbs. I can't fault his team selection today, regardless of the fact that we won. I said that before, we entered the field of play, as they say. So I was really pleased Danny was up front. He always puts an extra bit in, doesn't he, against United and City. So do you know what? I love Welbeck. I wish he had the finished product all the time because we just wouldn't need anyone else. He just gives us so much that Giroud can't, I'm afraid. But yeah, I was really pleased with the lineup.
Yeah, Rick, I guess it would be similar with you as well. With Giroud out of the starting 11, as harsh as it is to say, we look so much more dynamic with Welbeck leading the line. Yeah. That front three of Welbeck, Ozil and Alexis, especially in that second half, really seems to come to life. I don't think Alexis had his best game today, but it's so fluid going forward. And the midfield in behind Xhaka and Ramsey, they performed really well. Oxlade-Chamberlain, that right wing-back role, I thought he was sublime throughout the course of this game. His defensive work, I think this was a real test for him coming up against Martial throughout the course of this match. Mm-hmm. We really got to see him showboat his defensive capacity. And the back three as well all performed admirably. It was good to see Monreal adapt to that left centre-back role with Koscielny and Holding. Holding was a little shaky at times, but beyond that, I thought they all performed well. But Rick, more importantly, what were your thoughts on the team from Wenger?
Well, like everyone else, I was happy to see Welbeck up front instead of Giroud. I might be different than a lot of people. I don't know that as the game went on, it provided a little bit of difference. But I'm not convinced it was the difference in the game, Welbeck versus Giroud. But I'm always happy to see a little more pace up front than what Giroud offers. Yeah, like you said, Holding, I love the fact that he's composed on the ball. Sometimes he seems a little too relaxed on the ball. You worry about that, but I'm happy to see him in there, and I think he deserves his starts. So I wasn't displeased at that at all. I was actually happy to see that. Monreal on the left, I guess that was injury related. We couldn't turn to other options. Otherwise, I might have started somebody else there in that left back position. But other than that, I was fairly happy with the lineup, other than my tendency to want to move Ox into the middle instead of Ramsey there. But I was pretty pleased with the lineup, and it turned out well for us.
Were you not a little bit surprised that you mentioned there about Monreal playing left centre half? Were you not a little bit surprised that he took Gabriel out of the team, who has been a sort of pivotal cog to this back three that we've been playing, and instead of playing Holding in that left centre back role, he put Monreal there and just completely eradicated Gabriel from the side?
Yeah, somebody mentioned before the game. I have no idea if there's any truth to this because we're sitting in a bar drinking and it could have just been a drunk yelling. But somebody said that Gabriel might have had a knock or an injury of some sort. Is that not accurate?
Look, I also think, sorry, James, I also think we don't know what goes on. We sit there and go, why isn't Gabriel playing? Why isn't Holding playing? Why isn't Welbeck playing? We don't know what knocks they've got. Everyone said to me, why isn't Bellerin playing? Bellerin might have a knock, and maybe he didn't want to bring him on for the whole game, but just, I actually don't know why he did bring him on for 10 minutes. Perhaps he just wanted him to run out for 10 minutes. I don't know. But us as fans, we don't know actually what goes on during the week. We were told Xhaka was injured he wasn't training, and then plays the whole game. So
Yeah, it is a little bit mental that, but no, thankfully Jack has come through, and I think we all know with Bellerin, you mentioned there that he's got a slight tweak, something wrong with him. He's got to have surgery on it in the summer. I'm not 100% on that, but I think that's something to do with him not playing as much. And to be fair to Oxlade-Chamberlain, he's made that right wing-back role his own. I wouldn't even have Bellerin in the team at the moment, even if he was fully fit. But it's good to have options in those positions, which is something that we haven't been blessed with for quite some time now. I mean, we were looking to Debussy and Carl Jenkinson previously. Now with this new system we've got implemented, we can now choose between Chamberlain and Hector Bellerin, which is a lot more luxurious. But getting into the game itself, that first half wasn't the best. It was better than what we saw at White Hart Lane, definitely, but it wasn't. It was still a bit hit and miss. We had a fair few chances. We had that Sanchez chance fairly early on. We started this game with a lot of intent, which is something that we haven't done in recent weeks. We had that Ramsey chance as well. We had good opportunities to make it 1-0. We also had a chance from Chamberlain as well. I mean, we had I say it wasn't the best of first halves, but we did have opportunities. But it was actually United that should have gone 1-0 ahead. Rob Holding with a pretty poor back pass, which Wayne Rooney intercepts, shrugs off Koscielny, and if it wasn't for an excellent save from Petr Cech, who I have to say has been banging form recently, it remained at 0-0. But Amanda, sticking with you, what did you make of that first half performance from Arsenal?
Better than we have seen, definitely. A little bit reminded me of the semi-final against City. I thought we looked up for it. I agree with Ramsey being man of the match. I thought he'd worked really hard the first half. It was just a bit. I think United would have been happy with a point, and I think he came to park the bus and catch us on the break. I don't think he had. That's how he plays anyway, isn't it? But I just feel we were getting it a bit frustrating. Passes weren't coming off. It was Ramsey, wasn't it, that shot and De Gea saved? Was it Ramsey, I think?
There was a really good shot from Chamberlain, which is quite far outside the box. Then Ramsey got in that really good position and a low shot across goal, which forced a save from De Gea.
Yeah, there was that one. I've been a bit bored of football lately anyway, so to me it was like, oh, here we go again. But you do get up for United. You know, you do. You could see the players were up for it. The problem with some of our players is they know that Wenger's going to choose who Wenger's going to choose. It doesn't seem like they're playing for their places in the cup final. You know, where in the old days when George Graham or early part of Wenger, you had to play for your places. I think that, I don't know. I don't know how they feel at the moment because of the top four situation. I don't know if they think, oh, we can't make it, or they're going to try and win every game. It was okay, James. It wasn't anything exciting. There wasn't anything that do you know what? As the game went on in the first half, I didn't think we'd lose. I thought United haven't got much here. You know, on paper, their front four on paper are great, but they didn't do much. But sorry, I just thought it was average. Okay.
Yeah, and Rick, would you echo that United didn't really bring anything to the table? I mean, for me, apart from that Rooney chance, which was practically gifted to them, they, throughout the whole 90 minutes, not just the first half, they offered very, very little in this game.
Yeah, it was typical Jose, I guess. He's going to park, 9-10 people behind the ball and try to catch you on the break, but they just didn't have a team that was breaking that quickly or breaking that dangerously. So they created the odd, half chance here and there, but nothing too dangerous. But at the same time, we weren't providing a whole lot of danger either. We had that great through ball to Ramsey. De Gea made a great save. We were often passive in our possession in the first half, where, we're not making enough runs. And when we do make runs, they're like half runs, where the person making the run doesn't have confidence they're going to get the ball, so they kind of break it off. And it was just a little bit frustrating in the first half, seeing that same passive possession that we've seen time and time again with Arsenal, where nobody's making a run through the lines, nobody's passing the ball to somebody making a run through the lines, and therefore I think that impacts the lack of running, because they never get the ball, so why should I make a run? It was very frustrating in the first half. I was pleased and still confident at the end of the first half, but I was still a little concerned about our passive possession, our lack of danger that we create.
We did finally get that breakthrough in the second half, which I think was definitely deserved given the amount of chances we had created in that first half, and given that we were the team showing a lot more intent than United were. We were a lot more ambitious with our play, but it wasn't a typical Arsenal goal. In fact, it's the type of goal that normally you'd expect Arsenal players to get berated for from Arsene Wenger. It was a good effort from Xhaka. Came off the back of Ander Herrera, a player that I'm delighted to see it come off of him because I can't stand the guy. But it went right over, looped over David De Gea, and made it 1-0 to the Arsenal. I love scoring goals like that. I don't know why. It's just good. We haven't really seen that much of the Emirates in recent years, but really pleased for Xhaka first and foremost, and really pleased that we got the goal in that fashion. And then from that point on, we really took charge of the game, and we got that second. But just before we get into that, Rick, I'll stay with you on that one. What did you make of, first of all, the goal, but as well as that, Granit Xhaka's performance in this game?
I've started feeling better about Granit Xhaka in the last several weeks. He hasn't always been great, but he's been doing more than what I gave him credit for, and that is holding on to the ball under pressure. A lot of times he hasn't been very good at that. He's great if he can look up and look ahead of him and pick a pass. He's fantastic, but not very good at holding the ball under pressure. And he's done a few things recently that lend a little more confidence for me anyway, in him in holding the ball under pressure. And as far as the goal, it's one of those things that we don't do often enough. And the joke was when Xhaka showed up and he scored a couple of those great screamers, preseason and early in the season, that, Arsene would coach that right out of him. And it was good to see that he still does that it hasn't been coached out of him, that we can take a shot from outside the box and lend a threat, make somebody react. Because all too often we sit out there 30 yards from the goal and people just let us have the ball. And if, Xhaka can produce some danger from out there, that's fantastic. And like you said, the fact that it went off Herrera, it just kind of icing on the cake. I don't know too many people that like that guy. So it was a great goal to get. And, of course, we're all convinced it was going to be on goal anyway, right? It was a great shot.
Has it been given to Xhaka? Do we know that?
It was at the moment. I don't know if it held up after the game. Does anybody know for sure?
Well, let's hope it does. It was definitely going on target, so I think it should go down as his goal. But
sure.
Amanda, I don't need to tell you what happened next. Just a couple of minutes after Danny Welbeck making it 2-0 to Arsenal. Great cross from Oxlade-Chamberlain, pinpointed onto the head of the former Manchester United man, Danny Welbeck. And just a perfect header, just underneath the crossbar. De Gea gets nowhere near it, and it's 2-0. The game is signed, sealed, and delivered at that point. Describe that moment to us.
Well, the thing is,
it was.
Yeah, well, I thought so, but not so. It's still 25 minutes to go, wherever it was. But that's right in front of me. So I sit East Upper, and that's exactly in front of me. And what I noticed was when Ox lost the ball and it went to Martial, Holding came in, not like a steam train, but he wanted that ball, Holding. He got that ball off Martial. Martial should have done better. And he passed it to the Ox. And as he passed that ball to the Ox delivered the most exquisite cross, honestly, onto Danny's head, as we just said, right? And it was the most, look, we don't often see it, do we? The most beautiful bit of football that we've seen for a while. And it honestly is in my eye line. So I love the Ox anyway. Me and Warren have been talking about this for quite a few weeks, but he is growing into this role. He just needs games all the time. That's what he needs. And he's proving to everyone that he can play in this position. I mean, he can play in a few positions, but I thought the goal was made by Holding in the end. And then Ox, beautiful cross to Danny's head. And yes, as you said, the ex-Man United player scored a beautiful header that De Gea would never get near. And it was just fab. And as I said, first half, I never felt worried with United. I didn't feel worried then. I'm always concerned after we score that we just keep the ball, And going back to what you said about Xhaka, players need to do that more. You never know what happens if you take a shot. That's what we always say. Take the fucking shot. Sometimes there isn't anything on. Don't pass it sideways. Take the shot. We're not going to have a go at you because look what happened today. You know, I actually, someone asked me if that was Xhaka's goal, and I said, well, it was on target. It should be his goal, but I don't know.
I'm actually looking online right now at the two places I've checked say Xhaka got the goal.
Who,
Let's hope so.
yeah, who decides that? Is it a panel or something?
I really don't know.
It doesn't matter anyway, because at the end of the day, you know, he made the goal. And, you know, I've always liked Xhaka, and I like the Xhaka and Ramsey partnership as well. But yeah, no, I thought it was just gorgeous, that goal. He does score some good goals, Danny, when he I know he doesn't score that often, but when he does, you know, you could see how much he wanted it as well against his old club.
He loves to score against United. He loves it.
Good to see him celebrate as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was at United the day of the Cup. Oh, do you know what? I'm so tired. Sorry, I've had a drink today. I don't normally drink.
I've had 3.
I don't drink. I can't handle my drinks. I don't know what I'm saying. Right, let me just compose myself. When we beat United that night in the Cup, and
2-1.
Danny went round. Yeah,
I was there too.
Yeah, so it was amazing, wasn't it, James? Right?
It was unbelievable.
And we went ballistic. Danny went ballistic as well. And I think that he just thrives on that atmosphere. I don't, you know, he's a Manc born and bred, and he's a red Manc. So when he plays City, which I commented on our last podcast about, he did too much. He wanted to score so badly against City. It's like one of our players trying to do it against Spurs, isn't it? But this is different. This is like, you know what? I am good enough.
I just can't stop thinking about that night at Old Trafford. I just remember being there right at the very, very back. Danny's goal goes in, and the poor bloke next to me just knocked his glasses off his head. It was just such a wonderful game. But getting back to today's performance, we finally kept a clean sheet in God knows how long. Well, not that long, that clean sheet against Leicester. But it was good to do it today against the top side. Rob Holding, Monreal, and Koscielny at the back. Rick, for you, is that the perfect back three?
For me, no, it's not the perfect back three, but it was certainly serviceable today. I would almost want somebody other than Monreal on the left, whether that's Holding or Gabriel or even Mustafi on the right and Holding on the left. I think I would, and I think we got a question on this actually. What's the preferred 3 center backs if we're to play a back three? And I don't know if that's the right move or not, but if we're to play a back three, I think it would be Koscielny, Mustafi, and Holding. I think Mustafi and Holding have enough athleticism to play in that three. Not sure that, Monreal has the athleticism, but not necessarily the height and the strength. So I would go with Koscielny, Holding, and Mustafi myself.
The thing I'd say about Monreal is that he's a very intelligent player. What he does lack in physical build to play that centre-back role, he's a very good reader of the game, similar to the way Mertesacker has got no pace, but he reads the game well as well.
Exactly.
But I think, as you say, he did well today, but it's a good question that we got there as well, and in fact, let's just jump into that right now. I think you answered it quite well there, but Amanda, coming to you. For you, what's the preferred back three in this current system?
I do like Holding.
I love Holding.
Yeah, I do. He would be definitely one of my ones. Has to be Koscielny. I'd probably go Monreal. It's tough, isn't it?
If everybody's healthy, would you still go Monreal if everybody was healthy?
Just on his performance alone against City.
Okay.
He was phenomenal that day.
True.
Yeah, you got to think as well, in that game he was playing left wing back, not left centre back.
Yeah. So, Gibbs. Do you know what? I think we're pretty lucky, to be honest. I think this system of this 3-4-3 or whatever he's playing, right? I think they're growing into it. I just don't know why he waited so long, to be honest. It's a bit frustrating, really. But what do you two think? What's your preferred 3?
Well, for me, it just begs the question as to why Holding didn't start against Spurs. I can't get my head around that whatsoever. I said it today that he didn't have his best game, but he brings so much composure and intelligence to a back line that lacks that when someone like Gabriel plays. That's not to have too much of a go at Gabriel, but Holding is so calm, so composed, so authoritative for someone so young. It bewilders me that he didn't start at White Hart Lane. But I think we're going to see quite a difference when Mustafi comes back, because I think we might see Holding shift over to that left centre-back role, because for me, he's a pivotal figure in the team now. I don't care that he's 21. He should be playing week in, week out.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see Mustafi come in at right centre-back, who I think will excel in that role. I might be getting in a bit over my head, but I think that role will just be tailor-made for him. If we've seen in the past the runs he makes down the right-hand side, him and Chamberlain on that right-hand flank, I think that'll work really, really, really well for us. And it also offers that bit more defensive protection as well. So I think a back three of Holding, Koscielny and Mustafi will potentially work wonders. But I don't know what your thoughts are on that, Rick.
Yeah, that's pretty much the lineup I just gave. If everybody's healthy, just specifically about a back three, I'm kind of in favor of it, but not because I would play that with every team I ever coached, but the way we've been playing for many years now is our defenders scream up the pitch. They're never to be seen on a counterattack. So, why do we even call them defenders? That's why I'm kind of in favor of this back three, to have another defender sitting back, because our wingbacks, as they've been playing for wingbacks for 6 years now. We're just now defining them as wingbacks and playing three in the back. There's a little more stability back there to combat a counterattack. But it also means if in a three you need athletes on the edges, and I think Mustafi and Holding have enough pace. I mean, neither of them are extremely fast, but they have enough pace and athleticism to play those positions where you need to be able to react quickly and nimbly. Versus the old, traditional center half.
Yeah, so sticking with you on that, Rick, do you think that if Arsene Wenger is to stay at Arsenal going into next season, I know that probably won't be what a lot of people want to hear on this podcast, but let's say he does hypothetically sign this contract and remain beyond this season, do you think we'll persist with this back three?
He might. I would, and that's simply because he doesn't coach the defenders to stay back in their position anyway. So if they're going to play wing back, let him play wing back and play three at the back. So I'm kind of in favor of doing that, just because of the way that he wants those guys moving forward anyway. So just let them move forward and have that extra person in the back to combat the counter that we're so traditionally caught out on.
Yep. And Amanda, for you, would you like to see Wenger persist with the back three, or do you think it's maybe time to switch back to the back four?
Oh, no. Stay with the back three. But it does also depend who we're playing. At the moment, yeah, definitely stick with it. I think we're growing into it. I just think we're growing into it a bit too late in the season.
Yeah, you mentioned there about maybe having to adapt to who we play. What sort of team do you think we'd be more suited to playing a back four against?
I was just thinking ahead, really, to the cup final. You know what? It's really, really tough to talk about it because we don't know who's going to be fit from both sides, do we? Who would have thought that Conte would have dropped Hazard against? Oh, who was it?
Spurs.
Tottenham. Yeah, sorry, Tottenham. I do. At the moment, I want to stick with it, James. I don't want to change it. We've got Southampton, we've got Stoke, we've got Sunderland, we've got Everton, haven't we? I'm not being funny.
It's vital we have big defensive games there as well.
Yeah, they're pretty. Stoke away is one of our bogey teams. Everton at home. Sunderland. The hardest game I see out the next four is Stoke away for me. That's what I think. Although Southampton Wednesday night won't be any pushovers. We never do well there anyway. So no, at the moment, I would stick with it.
Yeah, no, I'm in total agreement with the both of you. I'd be more than inclined to stick with this back three, especially whilst it's working for us, and especially as we get to see more of Rob Holding play, who I think is a wonderful asset to this Arsenal team. But one player that I want to talk about specifically that's come under a lot of criticism, and I know that if a certain Warren was on this podcast, it would be absolutely delightful to talk about the wonderful Aaron Ramsey, who had a brilliant performance this evening. I thought he had a great game. He had an absolutely delightful game. What did you make of his performance, Amanda? And if he plays like this, how important can he be to this Arsenal team?
Do you know what? I've always loved Ramsey. I think we all do. I just think he has been pants a lot of this season. It may have been that he's injured, not in the right positions. I don't know. But today it was like watching our old Aaron, wasn't it? You know, when he had that purple patch a couple of years back. I just feel him and Xhaka work so well. I think with Ramsey, he truly does love the club. He truly loves playing for Arsenal, and he does give his all. Just sometimes he's a bit pants. Today, anyone that can't rave about Ramsey isn't an Arsenal supporter. Because look, if Giroud would have had a tip-top game, I would have come out and said he was man of the match. I don't rate Giroud. So that a lot of people that don't rate Ramsey, I've noticed, still can't say he was man of the match. And I don't get that. Because he was, by far.
The thing with Ramsey is he does tend to make a few very basic errors. He did it today, but his whole performance, as I've mentioned, I can't praise it enough. It was absolutely sublime. But he will tend to do something like he'll play a really poor cross in, or he'll do a flick that won't come off. And in the eyes of the people that don't tend to like Ramsey, they'll focus on that one error as opposed to his whole performance, which it does tend to go under the radar quite a bit. I don't know if you'd be inclined to agree with that.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. It's like they can't wait. Oh, look what Ramsey's done. You know, give the boy a break. None of them have performed brilliant in the last 3 or 4 months. Sanchez, Ozil, Ramsey, none of them. Koscielny. So why are they so hot on his errors? I don't know. I don't understand that mentality. For me, each game's different. I don't go back and think, all right, Xhaka had a blinding game last week. He's going to be superb today. It doesn't work like that in football. So I don't know. See, I don't understand that, James. I don't hate a player enough to be gutted when they actually do well, because that is pathetic supporting. And if I find anyone around me doing that, I absolutely worship and love the ground Ozil walks on. Do I think he's played crap the last month? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he's been at the races, but I still rate him, but I'll still be able to criticise him because and then I would praise him as well, if you understand what I mean. So I think with Ramsey, he's become like, what's that, like the bullied boy of Arsenal sort of thing. It's like any chance anyone gets. But when he does well, like today, I mean, I've seen a tweet on there today saying, no way was he man of the match. Well, who was then?
No, Amanda, I totally agree with you on that one. He, if he could just cut out these simple errors from his game, then he'll definitely be getting more praise from Arsenal fans. I would hope so anyway, but I do firmly believe that there are people out there that just can't support Aaron Ramsey for whatever reason. But Rick, what are your thoughts on Aaron Ramsey? Do you think that this 3-4-3 system with him lining up alongside Granit Xhaka in a very defined midfield, do you think that works for him?
It worked out okay today. I'm not convinced long term that's where he needs to be. He's somebody who needs to be a little farther up the pitch. And one of the things that's great about Ramsey is he will take those risks, which I like. I like him taking risks. I like him being and popping up anywhere. And offensively, that's fantastic. It's sometimes when you're playing deep in the midfield, you can't just vacate your space in order to be dangerous offensively. You need to stay there. And also, it's where he chooses to make those mistakes. I know last week a lot of people got on his case because he's sitting, 25 yards out and he made a poor pass and we get scored on. Well, he's 25 yards from their goal. That's where you want somebody making mistakes. You don't want him making mistakes in front of our goal or in our own half. And sometimes Ramsey has done that, and that's what gets me frustrated, and I guess it gets a lot of people frustrated. But I'm willing to accept the fact that that's what makes him dangerous offensively. So I see a player that can be dangerous to the opposition, but just maybe not cut out to be that 2 in the midfield kind of player who's going to provide that stability in the midfield.
Sticking with you, Rick, do you think that he could play in that 2 behind the striker, the positions that Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil are taking up in a minute? Oh,
absolutely I do. He can absolutely play there. The problem is we have Mesut Ozil. So what are you going to do? You're going to start Ramsey over Ozil? I wouldn't. That's just unfortunate for Aaron. But that is probably a position he's more suited for, in my opinion.
Well, one player we could start him over is Alexis Sanchez, who it might be a bit controversial to say, but Sanchez has been. In fact, I don't think it's controversial to say Sanchez has been poor recently. I think whatever your opinion is on him, he does give his all every single game. He's a very hard worker, absolutely loves his football, but has been poor. And whether this contract situation is playing on his mind, I don't know. I really do think he is wasted playing on the left-hand side of the pitch. I'd love to see him playing in that striking role, but unfortunately for him, that was occupied by the fantastic Danny Welbeck today. But Amanda, for you, there was an interview with Alexis Sanchez before the game on Sky Sports, which I'm assuming you won't have seen, but he talked about his season, how he's done personally, and the interview asked him, Alexis, how do you feel you've done on a personal level this season? And his first immediate response was that he hasn't done well because he's not competing in the Champions League, he's not competing for the league title. What does that say to you about Alexis Sanchez's future at the club, Amanda?
It just says that he's ambitious, and he's upset that we haven't been able to do that. I don't know. I can't call it. I don't think he'll be here at the end of the season. I wouldn't say he's been rubbish the last few weeks or whatever. He hasn't been great, and he has been giving the ball away a lot, and he has been going at a few players, but he's just got passion. I don't understand anyone that wants Sanchez to leave the club. I just don't get it. I want him in my team every game, but obviously I'd like him to be playing under a decent manager. There we go. But I just think that it's got to affect them. No one knows what's going on with Wenger and his contract. No one knows who their manager's going to be in 3 months' time. They're getting frustrated. Sanchez and, he sees himself, I suppose, as a world-class player, and he's going into the Europa. So I think he's frustrated, actually. And how can we sort his contract out if he doesn't know who he's going to be playing for? Unless they do. I personally think, and I've always said this, that Wenger was signed months ago. I've always said that. Maybe I'm wrong. But I've just got that feeling that he has, and they're just waiting for the season ticket renewals in a couple of weeks. Cup final, I don't know. But it's got to affect you. If I was working for my company and my boss hadn't told me whether he was extending or not, and my contract was coming to an end, I'd be on both sides going, well, what shall I do? What shall I do? And it obviously plays out on the pitch. We've not been playing great. We've had a couple of good games in the last few months. So I think that's the reason. But he hasn't performed. I do agree with that. But I still want him to stay.
Okay. And Rick, for you, we've seen Alexis come out, and in that interview I mentioned, he says that a footballer's career is short. He's 29 this year. Do you really realistically think that, I'll say the same as what I said to Amanda, do you realistically think he'll stay at Arsenal beyond the summer if he wants to properly compete for the league and for the Champions League?
I would guess it depends on the teams that come looking for him. Obviously, there's no guarantee you're going to win things in this sport, but if the stature of the team that comes in for him is such that makes him feel confident he has a better opportunity, he will probably take that. He's that ambitious. He will leave. He has no allegiances to a particular team. He's going to go where he can succeed. What I don't know is if those teams are actually going to come looking for him, right? Is Barcelona...
Well, we've heard Bayern have put in supposedly are lining up a £55 million bid for him.
Oh, okay. See, that'll make it interesting, a team like that. But you don't hear that Real Madrid or Barcelona or somebody like that is coming in for him. So what is he going to do? He's not going to go to another team that doesn't have a better opportunity than Arsenal. But if Bayern come offering that kind of money, that's going to make things interesting. I don't think he has any allegiance to Arsenal other than, what he can achieve while here.
Okay. And staying with you quickly, Rick. Obviously, we've seen Liverpool drop points today, 0-0 with Southampton. We've got to travel there in midweek, which should be a very difficult game for us. It always is difficult on the south coast for Arsenal. But is there a little bit of life in this top four race for Arsenal with a few games remaining that we can just sneak into those Champions League places?
Well, it's given us that little glimmer of hope, right? And it's the hope that kills us.
Yeah.
But if anyone's going to do it, surely Arsenal are the team to do it. I mean, we always tend to have these magical moments when we most need to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, go no further than last year's second place finish. What a glorious day that was. But it's, we're going to talk about it. We're going to hold out hope for it. I'm going to be looking at games in a different way because of that little slight opportunity we could sneak in there. So it's a good thing to be in this position, but I don't know that I would get confident about us doing anything. I'm hoping that it's exciting right up to the last game.
Okay, and Amanda, I think we know your stance on Arsenal getting into the top 4, but for the sake of argument, do you think we can just about sneak in there?
No.
Okay, wonderful. So
all that hope I just talked about, she just dashed it.
No, I don't, because I don't think Liverpool are going to slip up. I know they had a few points missed today. Yeah, but I don't think they will. I don't think we're going to. But it's not about them. We've got to win our next 4 games.
Absolutely.
Forget anybody else. We're 6th, aren't we? Or 7th? I don't know where we are, to be honest.
6th, but we have a game in hand. So if we win that game, we're in 5th. But yeah, still a lot to do.
Yeah, focus on us a second. Forget anybody else. I'm going to ask you two then. Do you think we can win our next 3 or 4 games?
Sure.
Right.
I don't know. I don't see why we can't beat Southampton, but I think at their place it's going to be really difficult. If it wasn't Southampton and Stoke, I'd be a lot more confident, but sadly it is Southampton and Stoke, and I don't see us winning both of those games. As much as I hate to say it, I think we'll at most get 4 points out of those 2 games.
So then we can't get top 4.
I know we can't. Stop ruining everything for me.
Oh, sorry, darling. That's my point. Fine. Forget anyone else dropping points. That's irrelevant. United have got to go to Tottenham. We're actually going to be Tottenham fans next week if Chelsea have won the league. You do get this, don't you?
Yeah.
The irony of all of this is if Chelsea have won the league, we're all going to be Tottenham fans. It's quite funny.
Yeah, that's what somebody at the bar was saying today, and I couldn't wrap my head around rooting for Tottenham.
Okay, so just to wrap up, we've got a few questions from our wonderful listeners. I don't know if you guys are ready for these, but they should be absolutely fantastic. We've got our first one in from @SmitMeta AFC. And Amanda, I'll stick with you on this one. Thoughts on Monreal's performance at left centre-back?
I'm happy with him there. Yeah, I'm okay with him. Sorry, is that not what anyone wants to hear? But I think he's okay.
No, I'd agree. He's okay.
I think he's probably. I like him there more than what do you call it, left wing back or something, whatever you call it. But I think Monreal's had a decent season.
Yeah, no, when he was playing left back, I wouldn't say he was having the best of seasons. But Rick, what are your thoughts on that?
I said decent, not brilliant. None of them have been brilliant. Go on.
Oh, that's okay. I think, James, both you and I left him out of our back 3 if we had a preferred back 3. I think he is performing well. He is the first person you turn to if you can't get, the lineup we had talked about. If anybody's injured or out of form, he's the first guy you would turn to. But I think if we're healthy and we're playing a back 3, he's not in my lineup. And if we're playing a back 4, he's there, but you still want better. I mean, you're still always looking to sign another player. So while I appreciate the fact that he reads the game well and is solid in defense, I still think if we're playing a back 4, we need an upgrade. If we're playing a back 3, he's the odd man out.
I'm going to raise an additional question on top of that original question for you, Rick.
Okay.
A lot of people have been saying that Monreal should leave the club this summer, mainly after his performances at left back where he was getting exposed by the likes of Mo Barrow. But he is a player that I think we can all agree is very, very, very useful to this Arsenal team.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's a player that, from next season at 31 years of age, in a very demanding position, I don't think he should be playing week in, week out. But I think in terms of what he can offer to the squad, I think he's a good leader as well. I think that goes a little bit unnoticed. I think he's a very good person to have, especially for the younger players, in terms of helping them adapt to the first team. He seems to perform rather proficiently in these roles that he's played in this back 3 system, in whether it be left wing back or left centre back. He hasn't had a bad game yet. So for you, Rick, would you be inclined to keep him on beyond the summer?
Is he happy sitting on the bench, I guess, is the question for that, because it'd be my initiative not to necessarily start him, but use him, a couple times sparingly. And if he is really providing a guiding hand to those youngsters, then that's more reason to keep him around. But if his ambition is to play week in, week out, I still don't know that I'm happy enough to start him there week in, week out.
Yeah, no, I'd wholeheartedly agree with that. So our next question from @DJ Damos says, imagine coming sixth and the only way to get a half-decent player is to pay up. Could you see the club paying? What are your thoughts on that, Amanda?
I don't think they're going to. Do you know what? It's going to be a very new thing for us, isn't it? Being out the Champions League, going in for players and having to pay up. They've got the money. Don't start me on all this. They've got the money. End of fact. So they're going to have to pay up because otherwise we are going to go into decline. And looking at top 10, let alone top 4, if they don't start bucking up their ideas, we're going to be in trouble. It just feels like, I know it sounds weird, but I am a little bit spiritual, and I just feel... That
does sound weird.
I just feel there's something big going on at the club, and I can't explain it. I don't know what it would be. I just don't know, but sorry, to answer his question, they're going to have to.
Yeah.
Okay, and for you, Rick?
Okay, no hands on the Ouija board for me. I'm not getting spiritual, but I think we've already had to buck up and pay. I mean, that's the whole thing that took so long to sign Mustafi, because we were being held to ransom over money. Things like that. We're already paying top dollar for players, so I don't think a whole lot changes. What has changed, and I really hate to bring this back to the manager, but what has changed is the aura and the attraction of Wenger. It's not what it used to be, right? So it used to be he would make a phone call, and that was it. That's all it took. Now, his phone call doesn't carry the same weight it used to, and we're having to pay more because of it. But we're already paying more, so I don't think us finishing outside of the top 4 impacts a whole lot. We're already being held to ransom over money because they know we have it.
Yeah, exactly. And final question from @KingdomXTY1 says, after hearing news of Lucas Perez speaking to a newspaper in Spain about being unhappy, do you think we should have him in our future plans, Amanda?
I'm gutted about Perez. You know what? I'm not surprised he's unhappy. What does he have to do to get in our team? Mm-hmm. Is there something going on that we don't know? Has he got a bad attitude? Does he think he's better than he is, or what? I don't know. But every time he plays for us, he's great. What do you two think about this?
No, I think he's. I love Perez. Yeah. I absolutely. Every time he's played, he's full of pace, he's full of energy, he's full of enthusiasm, and I just think we've completely wasted this season for him. And I don't think he's got. If we do persist with this back three, I hate to say it, but I don't think he's got much of an opportunity in this team, because I can't see where he'd fit into it. I can't see him playing as a left or right wing back. I can't really see him playing in that sole striking role. But he was such a good asset when we were playing forward at back. He was a great winger. Did okay through the middle a couple of times. Was brilliant at Southampton away. Brilliant at Basel away as well. So I'm thoroughly disappointed with how it's turned out. But I don't think we should write him off too soon. He's still got next season. And he's a player that I hope we'll see a bit more of next campaign. What about you, Rick?
He's done well. I'm surprised he hasn't played more often. I think he's a really good squad player. I don't think he's a guy that's going to make the starting 11 all the time, but he should probably be used more often than he has been, because he's performed well when put in. But when you're looking to the future, when you're looking forward, is that the person you want in your squad coming in for the odd game, or do you want to give a younger guy like Iwobi a chance? So I don't know that it's going to be a priority for Arsenal to hold on to him any longer. So if he's unhappy and he's looking to move, I think we'd let him go.
It would be a shame. It
would be a shame. I mean, he's a good player, but if he's not getting what he wants in this squad, then we got to let him go.
Yeah, he's the sort of player you could see playing week in, week out at a team like Everton. He's maybe that level where he could play every single week, but maybe at Arsenal it's just he's not going to get the chances that he feels he deserves. But surely he came to the club knowing that he's not going to play week in, week out. maybe that's just
He probably
me being
expected to play a few more games than what he has.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't know why
he
seems to be on the naughty step, but
yeah, let's not look over the fact that he is supposedly injured as well, if we are to believe that. But yeah, Amanda, I believe you've got a couple of questions for us as well.
So I have a question from Lee Judges of Same Old Arsenal Pod. He said, "Can Wenger change your opinion of him now, or is it too late?" James.
Well, first of all, thanks for the question, Lee. Much appreciated, and it's a brilliant question as well. But for me, I think keeping with Wenger now is just going to be delaying the inevitable once again. He's switched his back three, but that performance against Tottenham, I mean, we were going crazy about the back three before that game against Tottenham, just after that game against Man City, and that little lull we had there. And for me, I don't care that he's changed the formation. It's just he's 67, 68 years old now. It's time to move on. He's been fantastic for the club. And I always said, after he got that money, when we knew he had money by signing Mesut, that's when I'd give him the chance to put everything behind him, forget the trophyless seasons, yada, 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 and then win that FA Cup, and then we should be properly challenging for the league. But we haven't done that over the past 3 seasons when we've had money. And this season in the league has been nothing short of an embarrassment. We spent 100 million, bought in Mustafi for 35 million, Xhaka for 35, bought in Perez, and our best player, arguably, has been Rob Holding out of our summer transfer spending, and he cost 2 million. It's that's the thing I love about Wenger in a way, that he's been able to pick out gems like Rob Holding, and I think we'll miss that when he's gone. The ability he has to pick up players, but for me, as much as I love him, there's nothing he can do at this moment, unless no, there's nothing. For me, I'm dead set on a new change happening at Arsenal.
Same here. He can't change my opinion now because I know he's not going to change. He's a very stubborn man, and maybe he's earned the right to be stubborn, and maybe he feels justified because of the things he's done. But I think it's time. It's time to move on, and he's at the age now where hopefully he can enjoy what he's done and move on. But he's got too much control at Arsenal. He's been granted almost authority over everything, and he's got too much control and too much influence to just shout everybody else down. And I think he needs, if he's going to continue coaching, which I think at his age he doesn't have to, but if he wants to continue managing a football club, he needs to go somewhere where he's managing a football club. He's not managing an entire organization.
Okay. No, for me, I don't even have to go that far. No, he can't change my opinion. I want him to resign, not extend. It's not like me not to go on for 10 minutes, is it? Okay, so we've got another one from Claude. Everybody knows Claude from Arsenal Fan TV. He says, would you pay top money for elite players and top up with youth players? Do you agree, Rick?
Maybe I'm not fully comprehending the questions. Pay top dollar for a few, and then
elites, yeah,
a few elites, and then just up, fill in with youth players.
Our youth that would be coming through.
Oh, that's a delicate balance. It's seemingly the way that we're going to have to operate. We're not operating off of oil billions. So we can't afford to pay top dollar for every position, so you're going to have some sort of mix. I don't know that paying elite money for one or two players is the right way to go. I mean, I was a big fan of Paul Pogba, and I wanted Arsenal to sign him, but when Man United pay up $100 million, no, I didn't want to sign him for that. That's just beyond the pale. And if that's the question, should we sign a player like that and then fill in with youth? Well, I wouldn't go that far. I think there's a balance to be maintained, and we do need to spend some money. We do need to get some top talent, but I don't know that I would be breaking the record every couple seasons just to get that one player.
Okay. What about you, James?
I think it really depends on what happens with Alexis Sanchez and Mesut Ozil. If we sell both of those players, then we're going to have over 100 million to play with. which, if we wanted to, we could throw on a player like Mbappe. I'm assuming that's what Claude means when he says the exquisite type of players that we should be looking at. But, I mean, I'd also be looking at players like Isco, who I think would be fantastic to fill in for someone like Santi Cazorla. But there's a lot of players out there at that top level that we'll have to pay top dollar for. But how much trust do I also have in our youth? I don't know a great deal about our youth, but players that I'd be looking to get through in the next couple of seasons would be, I want to see more Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Rob Holding. We all know how fantastic he is, but I don't think he needs to be starting week in, week out. Maybe we'll see a bit more of Iwobi, who seems to have gone off the radar recently. Reece Nelson is a fantastic young player we've got, and I think he needs to start a bit more. I believe Mavi Didi, who was recently on loan at Charlton, had an injury, will be training throughout pre-season with the first team. So we have got some very good, exciting youth players. But
we also have, Jeffrey and Adelaide, and I don't know why we don't say his name much anymore, but Christian Bielik is still in the youth team as well.
No, he's had a really good loan at Birmingham as well, so he's another player to come back into the frame of things. And I'm sure there are some people out there still holding out some hope on Gideon Zelalem, but we'll see how that one pans out. But we've got some great youth prospects, but I think it really is, I wouldn't want to blood too many at once because that will have an impact in the team. But I think in terms of transfers this summer, it's going to be massive. It's going to be a big overhaul. I think we'll see a lot of players go out. I think we'll see quite a few possibly big names come in, but I'm hoping if Arsene Wenger is to stay, that we do see a squad overhaul, because I think that's just as much the problem as Arsene Wenger is himself.
But James, something interesting you said at the beginning, you went, depends on Ozil and Sanchez, we'll get 100 million, then we can use it. We've got that money anyway, whether they stay or go. That's the fallacy at our club, if you know what I mean. Yeah, but you've got to consider as well that if we do sign them down on 300 grand a week or whatever, that's going to be like, what, 20, 30 million gone there already on contracts a year as well. So over the course of, if we sign them down on 4-year contracts, that's like, 100 million there? But they've got it.
Over 4 years. Yeah, they've got it, but then they haven't got 200 million to then go and spend on loads of transfers.
That's debatable.
I believe we've got, the only reason I know how much we've got is because I did a little piece of the AST not too long ago, but I believe we've got exactly 90 million to spend, and that will be spread out over the course of a couple of years. So yeah, we've definitely got the funds available to buy the best of the nest, but whether we'll do it, I'm not too sure. I don't think Xhaka, Mustafi and Perez and Holding were exactly elite signings.
No.
They were signings that we looked at that seemed to come in and do a job, but even they've been very questionable this season. So if we are to sign the likes of Paul Pogba and the Kevin and Baps of this world, then so be it. But I just hope we spend it on the right player.
Okay, so this will tie in with my last question from Steve Neighbour, who's actually a mate of mine and on Twitter. He said, are there any loan players you'd like to see brought back and given regular time next year? I personally would have Chesney back. I think he's doing really, really well, and maybe he's learnt his lesson. Maybe he's grown up a bit. I'd like to bring him back. That's for me. What about, all right, Rick, would you bring anyone back?
Oh, well, Chesney's the obvious one. I think you're right. He has matured, and he's proven to be a quality goaltender. And I think with just 1 year left with Czech, and Ospina is probably not looking to be that same guy. He probably wants to go somewhere. I would bring back Chesney and actually maybe even give him the starting nod ahead of Czech if that's what it takes, and just have Czech kind of mentor him. But we were actually talking about that at the pub day after the game, and I said, well, maybe there's some history there with Wenger and Chesney's dad that we don't know about, that maybe complicates that whole situation. But then again, it struck me that, Wenger stuck with Bentner all those years, so how much could be in the way?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I don't really know too many other obvious. I mean, there's a lot of people. Wilshere, yes, but at this point, he wasn't exactly lighting up the league. Do you bring him back and give him a starting nod? Maybe not. I mean, Chesney's the only one I think we could bring back and actually put in a starting role. You could bring a lot of other loanees back, but I don't know that they're going to get in the starting 11 week in, week out.
I think if Jack was fit, which is obviously something that hopefully that he can work on the next 3 months and get fit, I'd definitely have him in our starting 11. James?
I'd bring back Callum Chambers.
Yeah.
Which I know is a bit of a controversial one, but I think at 22 years old, for a player that's going to be a centre-half, I think he's got a very bright future ahead of him. I know that he's had some very weak Arsenal performances, but I think he can learn a lot off of his compatriot, Rob Holding. I think those two could potentially form in maybe, I'm not talking about now, but in about 3, 4, maybe 5 years' time, those two could be our centre-back partners. So yeah, Cam Chambers is someone I want to see come back. I also think he's a very useful player to have in the team. Obviously Joel Campbell is going to be wonderful for us next season. No, I'd probably get rid of Joel Campbell, to be honest. Chuba Akpom, I'm still holding out hope on him very slightly, but realistically, I don't think he's going to make it. But yeah, Chambers and Wilshere would be the two I'd bring back, and maybe Chesney. I'm a bit unsure on that one, but they'd be the two. Okay, are those all the questions we've got?
Yep, that's me done.
Okay, wonderful. Well, on that note, I think it's about time to conclude. It's been wonderful podding with you two this evening. First of all, thank you, Amanda, for taking the time out of your evening to join me.
Thank you, James. It's been lovely.
No problem at all. Please be sure to give Amanda a follow on Twitter. And Rick, it's been wonderful podding with you for the first time.
Oh, it's been great. I don't think I've been on all season, so it's been fun.
And you come on the night that we beat Mourinho.
And I come on the night that Amanda tries to kill everybody's hope. Hold out hope, folks. Don't listen to her.
No, do you know what? I'm always positive, but I'm realistic. And if we get into the top 4, it'd be an amazing feat, won't it?
Oh,
if you look at it now,
amazing.
it would be so funny. And to win the FA Cup, to get in the Champions League, it would blow Tottenham's minds, wouldn't it? I'd like to do it just for that. Sorry, James.
No worries at all. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, obviously, about Tottenham finishing above us. But if we win the FA Cup and we get Champions League, no one's even going to remember Spurs finishing above us. But of course, that's a massive ask, a massive ask.
Sure is.
But on that cheery note, that I'll leave you with some delusion with. Thank you for tuning in to a Gooner Ramble, and thank you to my wonderful guests for coming on tonight, Amanda and Rick. Be sure to give them a follow on Twitter, and be sure to subscribe and follow the Gooner Ramble on all the various social medias. But from me and for Amanda and Rick, thank you very much for tuning in.
And always Arsenal.
This podcast is sponsored by Odds Monkey. Beat the bookie and make money whether you win, lose or draw. Swing by oddsmonkey.com today to try the UK's #1 matched betting service for just £1. Enter promo code BIRDCAMP when you register and upgrade to premium.